Okay, it is Friday again, favorite day of the week, and of course the news that the government tries to sneak in that where they don't want to get criticized always comes out on Friday, so that's a nice coincidence. And once again, Greg Raffetto, ex-Chippendale, law graduate, entrepreneur, and been in the healthcare business 14 years. Actually, when did you stop being leading the PPO? What was that, Greg?
That was in about 2000.
Okay. So about 14 years up till then. So
yeah.
Excellent. Hey, thanks for joining me. We're going to talk healthcare again before we get to the fun news story about the prostitution ring in New Hampshire. But if you can help us sort it out, I would really appreciate it. There's a lot of shenanigans going on in the House and the Senate.
I'll do my best to sort them out, Joey.
Thank you. It's a real onslaught. What basically the House and Senate were supposed to get a bill out by, and I don't know if a consolidated bill, but the goal was to get one passed and signed by the August recess. Well, the Senate gave up. Harry Reid says that's not going to happen in the Senate. It's much harder to pass something in the Senate anyway, even with their 60-seat majority, because some of the blue dog Democrats are against the single-payer plan, and the same kind of thing is going on in the House, but the House still has a chance at passing something. There was a deal hatched today between a congressman named Weiner. I've never heard of him, but Mr. Weiner, or maybe it's Weiner, but I prefer to call him Weiner just for the fun.
Let's stick with Weiner.
Okay, he has compromised. They took out essentially an extension of Medicare to cover everybody, which was his amendment. He withdrew the amendment in return for a promise from Speaker Pelosi that a single-payer option would be in the bill. So he high-fived his buddy in his little subcommittee or whatever, and he's very happy they're going to get something out. So I think I don't know when the recess starts, but it's not long. It might be. I thought it was the whole month of August, so they're running out of time. But basically, the bill is going to have a single-payer option. And related to that, now I don't know if you followed that news today. I just picked that one up today, but there's definitely a big question of whether single-payer was in or out. It's out so far in the Senate bill, but it's in now back. It promised to be back in, but it's not written yet in the House bill. So that's kind of where that's at now. I don't know if you have any other information besides that, but that's been the bone of contention mostly, is whether there's going to be a single payer option or not. Okay, so now here's Pelosi caterwauling about insurance companies. She says that insurance companies are the villains. She says because some of the insurance companies are lobbying against the single payer option. She says it's almost immoral what they're doing. Of course, they've been immoral all along in how they've treated the people that they insure, she said, adding, they are villains. They have been part of the problem in a major way. They are doing everything in their power to stop a public option from happening. Well, I think one of the reasons is because, at least the way it's conceived right now, I think the public option is a poison pill for the private insurance companies. It doesn't seem to be restrained in the way that it could essentially starve out or the private companies. I don't know if you're reading it that way, but I think it's pretty open-ended. I don't know what your take on that is, but I think her language is obviously anti-capitalism, as usual, and I don't think it's helpful at all. So what do you think about that little snippet?
I think it is a poison pill for the insurance companies. Even though it's open-ended right now, they're never going to be able to pass anything that isn't open-ended. But it does spell the new marketplace is going to be one where the government takes the primary spot as the healthcare provider for a lot of people.
Yeah, they already do 1/3 through Medicare and Medicaid. So now they're just proposing to take up some portion of the rest. And they're promising that private companies will have a place in this competition. They keep using the word competition because that word tested out so well in the focus groups. But I don't see it as competitive. I see it as that they can't that the private companies can't compete because the government doesn't have to make a profit. They can lose money and they just keep shoveling it in.
I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, now here's the problem with driving profit out of the system is that it kills the incentive to innovate, which gave us the high technology.
There will always be an incentive to innovate. For people with money, there will always be the best health care available.
Yeah, so you don't think they can ever actually outlaw the private care and the essentially allowing a company to profit if it makes a new medicine, like a pharmaceutical company, or invents a new cure of something, or whether it's a drug or a technique or something. You don't think that would be driven out? It's actually another.
Not at all.
Yeah, I wonder because in Canada, for instance, they don't. They essentially criminalize private practitioners to some extent. I don't think that's completely true, but I think some medical care is outlawed to be practiced privately. But that's different than saying that there's no incentive to innovate. That's really two different issues. So yeah, I guess I can see that. I don't see how the new single payer, if they were to get single payer in, that by itself wouldn't kill the innovation in the system. It's it probably doesn't help because the more that you nationalize any industry, the less overall synergy you have in the economy and dynamism, I guess. Where there's more options and more people in the private sector. If you keep bringing people over to the to public sector, it just makes it harder for the private sector to operate when the public sector can always vote themselves more money if they're in the majority. But that's kind of the future scenario. We're not there yet. We still have more private employees than public. But some cities actually have pulled ahead in public. There's more public employees than private in some inner cities. But anyway, that's getting off the topic. What do you think about while we're talking about the public option? And I know you said it's kind of open-ended, and I think it's written that way now. Isn't there a way to, let's say, give catastrophic coverage, public coverage, and make it a much less costly plan overall? In other words, just cover catastrophic. Let's say, just throw a number out. What if the average income of a U.S. citizen was used as the deductible, which is let's say $40,000, just to throw a number out there?
Sure.
Is that a way to limit the cost of the plan, meaning the cost of the taxpayer, but also provide an option for catastrophic, for someone to use if they don't want to purchase the more expensive private insurance, which would allow you to lower that deductible?
Catastrophic policies are often used in that way.
Yeah, and it would make sense for young people, to just stick with catastrophic. And of course, you're going to be stuck with a bill for $40,000 that you're going to have to go get a loan for or something as soon as you
file bankruptcy on.
Yeah, and that can definitely happen if you can't get the loan, and then you'll have to file bankruptcy. And but